Hey guys, Open Up here. Gonna be doing continued reaction to Spirit of Justice Review Part 2. This one's featuring Josh Corcher because it's Wambu's channel, so yeah. Anyway, I guess we just get to it. 3, 2, and 1.
Then, oh boy. Turnabout Revolution. This case is a monster in length, in theme, and in holy cow, the plot twists and turns in this case are amazing.
Let's start at the beginning. The episode begins with Dirk of the Defiant Dragons channeling V for Vendetta and appearing on national television vowing to take the government down. They also announced that they have the Founder's Orb, which is really, really important, let us tell ya, since it said that anyone who solves the secret of the orb will be able to see the true face of Karian's Holy Mother and will also gain some sort of spiritual power. So
well, you never took a picture?
Apollo and Trucy are watching this unfold on TV, and guess who comes by? Dirk. Coming by to visit his adopted son, Apollo. Which we forgot to mention in case 3 because we are professionals. And guess who has 2 thumbs and needs Apollo's help to get back the Founder's Orb that they just announced that they had? This guy! Dirk introduces himself to Trucy and remarks that she and Apollo would make a good couple.
Aww.
Is this what you want? Oh, no, it's not what I want. It's not what I want. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No.
No!
So anyway, adopted daddy over here did a pretty bad job keeping in contact, which Apollo is notably miffed about. But reluctantly he agrees anyway. Also, he presents Apollo with a photo of his biological father. Yep, this one's gonna get feelsy. Be very afraid.
Then we move to Karian Village that is not in Karian. Did they do that on purpose? That's confusing. Anywho, they head to the home of one Archie Buff, an archaeologist studying the orb who has agreed to give it to the Defiant Dragons.
The dolphin
is
actually
turned into a chalk outline!
Okay, there's weird stuff everywhere, never mind.
No, Josh, he's dead. He died. And that means he can't legally give it over unless there's a written statement. According to Emma, his death was an accident. So look at that, Josh. 2 suicides in 1 game.
You really believe that?
No. Well, this shouldn't be too bad. It's not like
yeah,
everyone else is claiming
upper left thing is basically an alien thing, whatever.
Oh. Politician, huh? Well, gee, I wonder what his occupation is.
He's a politician! That's full of himself and has a very bad reputation. Redundant, I know. He says the Founder's Orb belongs to him and is actually an heirloom stolen by the Doctor. They realize they need information to prove otherwise, so they go back to the study to talk to Archie's child, going by the name of Sarge,
who sexually identifies as an attack helicopter.
Wow. That is some seriously low-hanging fruit.
Don't act like you weren't taking it.
I was going to say that Sarge is an agoraphobic and is trying to cope and be brave by barking out this hilariously over-the-top military personality.
God damn it, Private. Shut your mouth or else I'll have Simmons slit your throat while you're asleep. Oh, I'd do it too. I know you would, Simmons. Good man.
Oh man, doesn't that sound familiar?
It's totally different! Sarge does it through a weaponized attack drone.
Whatever you say, Sarge is pretty stubborn about talking and finds it pretty hard to relate to them. But then Apollo remembers, oh yeah, I also have a dad that's pretty dead. And so they become besties from that point onward, and they get information that helps them locate the Founder's Orb in Mount Mitama. Wait, Mount Mitama.
Initiating system
1. That's pretty much calling it Soul Mountain.
The good thing about this is that it gives Apollo and Dirk some great father-son time. The downside is that they get lost for several hours. The upside is that there's a lot of great dialogue going on. The downside is they almost die. Several times.
Anywho, they get back to the village and the politician says he's going to sue them for possession of the orb and Phoenix will be his lawyer. Wait. We're going up against Phoenix, right? In court? Defending him is one thing, but facing him? Player! This is new. This is really new.
Did the last one end?
This court experience is really surreal. Every time we deal a crushing blow to Phoenix via evidence, it's so satisfying to watch him squirm. I mean, no wonder prosecutors like picking on him. We also know that his confident smile is when he's bluffing through his teeth.
I kind of had the opposite experience. I may not like the politician very much, but both Apollo and Phoenix are characters that I pretty much consistently root for. So being put in this situation was pretty agonizing. In a good way. Sort of. But then, this civil case about possession of an artifact quickly turns into a case of, you guessed it, murder. Yeah, remember that guy who accidentally killed himself earlier? No, he didn't. Turns out it was from a blow to the head that Phoenix kept hidden until the proper moment.
Dick.
Yeah, he sets up a prosecutor-level trap. This... I don't know how to feel about this.
Yeah, seeing Phoenix be this underhanded and withhold the truth is a bit jarring. Usually we have context to his actions via his thoughts, but having no idea what's going on? This is kind of freaky.
The first witness they bring in is Sergeant Buff, in an attack drone, equipped with a Gatling gun. Okay. Whips, predatory birds, coffee, marginally understandable. A f***ing Gatling gun?
We've called parrots, orcas, and dead people as witnesses. This shouldn't surprise you.
That's actually a fair point.
Eventually, Sarge starts to become emotionally unstable and has to have a therapy session with Athena in order to calm down, which briefly doesn't work too well. Sarge almost stages a coup. Athena then uncovers that it was Sarge losing their mom in a fire that caused the development of agoraphobia. Finally, it reaches the point where Sergeant Buff decides to come to court in person and... She's so cute! Can I?
She is
I
12,
have the same
Josh.
thought,
And
too.
currently missing her father, remember?
She's
Yeah,
cute,
you know
that's
what?
it.
I don't care. You do you.
Yay! Oh, wait a minute. You said she's sexually identified as
Moving on.
Molly reveals during her testimony that her father
She's a
tried
cute girl.
lighting the orb on fire, which apparently actually worked. So Apollo and Athena try it out, and sure enough...
Cool.
Thus proving once and for all that this indeed belongs to the kingdom of Kurain and not this douchey politician guy.
Thank goodness.
But wait a minute, before Phoenix fully submits, Mr. Attition gives him a friendly reminder that he's holding Maya hostage.
What?
Yep,
Huh?
we're going farewell my turnabout
God
on this
damn it,
case.
Maya.
Turns out that's why Phoenix was willing to be so underhanded. So before the verdict is handed down, Phoenix does what he does best. Bullshit his way out of a bad situation. And you know who's buying it? No one. But they go into recess anyway.
During the break, we get to eavesdrop on Paul and Phoenix, where we learn that Phoenix is indeed defending Paul to save Maya, and the trial needs to go in favor of Paul in order for Maya to be set free. Turns out Paul and some benefactor want the orb so they can gain spiritual power. Seeing no way out of the situation,
Really?
Apollo
So he had to
begins
capture-
retract his
Goddamn.
accusation when in comes Daddy Dirk to the rescue. He tells him,
You're fucked.
So awesome! Apollo revisualizes the case and realizes that a medium is needed to channel the founder. So, if anything bad happens to Maya, he's out of luck. Pearl would obviously say no, and asking the Kurain Queen would be heresy. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Paul
he's
is
screwed.
declared guilty, and the trial comes...
Wait, guilty? Why?
Oh, yeah. He also killed the architect.
Oh. Okay. So I guess with all that, this case finally comes to a close.
No, Josh. We're only halfway done.
Halfway.
Yeah, there's still a whole other case to this.
Okay, back right the Tartarus up. We have two cases which are completely irrelevant to the plot, yet we have a case that's doubled up in length? Why not just have one of the unimportant cases be DLC or something?
Because then we wouldn't have room for the actual
What the hell
DLC
is
case.
DLC?
Ah! Anyways, turns out Paul's benefactor was actually Karayan's justice minister, Inga, who now finally gets to be important. At first,
Good
Dirk
for you.
taunts him for losing both his pawn and the Founder's Orb, but then Inga reveals that he has something else important to Dirk. So they all go back to Karayan regardless, and this time, Edgeworth gets to come.
That's
Okay.
right.
Hi,
Your
pretty
boy
boy.
Edgeworth is back. Again. Again.
Anywho, Inga has holed himself up in the former queen's tomb that's surrounded by guards, with no way in or out. And Dirk goes in alone.
3, 2.
Spike.
Inga's dead! Of course that would happen!
At least Maya isn't getting blamed for it this time. Yet.
Don't give him ideas. So the team splits up and they actually get to question Dirk before the police do? That's a first. And he doesn't remember anything.
Hit him with a
Final
baseball
story
bat.
case. Josh, never expect these things to be easy.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
So true.
Then we get filled in on details about the previous Queen Amara. 23 years ago, Dirk was blamed for her assassination. Hold on, don't tell me. We're gonna have to solve that mystery too, aren't we?
Yep.
Dang,
all
Hey,
these
you're the one who
mysteries.
just said to never expect it to be easy.
Touche. Anyway, it turns out she died in a fire 23 years ago, and
sucks.
she was Dirk's wife.
That sucks even
First
more.
of many bombs to be dropped.
Nayuta comes in, and he's naturally prosecuting. We then go through investigations in
white
both the
douchebag
tomb
there.
and Ina's house, and we find some interesting evidence that even causes Rafa to go, WTF, guys? Any Phoenix Wright fan can predict that whatever these clues point to, it's gonna be big.
The next day, like father, like son, Apollo is being hunted down by guards for possession of the Founder's Orb. He hides out in
that
Dirk's
sucks.
old office in a sewer, right under their noses, which are probably plugged. Here, Apollo learns information that he really needs Dirk to clarify.
Apollo then questions Dirk and forces a little detail out of him. Amara, the assassinated queen, might still be alive.
Which in Ace Attorney language means yes, she is absolutely still alive and probably in disguise. Dirk then says that he is dying, and then tells Apollo that there will be a hard truth that he'll have to come to accept later on. As in, like, a hard truth besides the part about you dying?
That was some attempts to show Nayuta in a
Son?
more positive light. He goes on this whole spiel about how he believes that Queen Amara, who is also his mother, is still out there somewhere. Meh.
And funny enough, at the exact same time, Rafa's Nana, you know, her assistant that we forgot to mention until this point because we're dumb, has gone missing. I wonder if these two things are in any way connected. Rafa's Nana has gone missing.
Amara might still be alive.
Probably not.
Before the trial starts, the entire country is rioting.
All right, you bastards, time to send you back to hell!
Great, as if Phoenix and Apollo didn't have enough writing on their success. Phoenix bars Athena from participating in order to save her from being potentially killed by the Defense Culpability Act.
Yeah.
Now, while we as fans are upset that she's getting the shaft and being even more useless, dang it, Phoenix, you are such a stand-up guy.
So here we are, the final trial. Phoenix and Apollo versus Nayuta. Nope, it's Garon? Yeah, so as it turns out, Garon herself was a former prosecutor. So for this trial, she sidelines Nayuta and takes the helm instead. But first...
Yep. Guards.
Oh God! Why didn't anybody tell me? Oh my God! My insides are on fire!
It was her. She did it. She killed the guy. She did everything.
I know we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves, but realistically, you do not get to wear an outfit like that unless you're the bad guy of the entire game.
Yeah.
She is covered head to toe in spider motif. The only thing she's missing is fishnets.
So Rafa tries to perform the seance of her father, but passes out. And
Right,
Garon, being the star mother that she is, casts her daughter out as useless. You know, I'm getting a serious Mother Gothel vibe right now.
I find it kind of amusing how quickly any pretense of being a good mother or a good ruler just sort of died. And yet, no one in the kingdom seems to care. After a cross-examination
really
with
messed
Dirk,
up.
she even declares him guilty on the spot, rescinds it, and everyone just sort of rolls with it. What is things?
This woman has the entire system wrapped around her finger. Rafa goes up to testify, and after Apollo tries to motivate her to do the seance again, Garon changes the law to make the divination seance optional with a flick of the
bitch.
wrist. This is why we have checks and balances, people! To stop crap like that!
But then Rafa is all, heck off, Mom, I'm doing this motherfucking seance, and shows that Inga's killer did not have a face. This is apparently because Inga has prosopagnosia, aka face blindness, which is a cognitive disorder that makes it so a person can't recognize faces, even those of loved ones.
Through this
Yeah, I
man's
kinda
insight,
have
there
that
was the
issue, too.
conclusion that the dead minister was
Can barely remember my own
channeled
face.
by another person, and they believe that the only one who could have channeled him was Maya. So now it's Maya's turn to take the stand.
And do things get any better from this?
No, not really. Maya didn't actually channel him.
Oh.
Hold it 1 second there, Wamboy. We aren't out of the weeds just yet.
Josh, what are you doing?
For you see, we may not know of any other people
Oh,
who
he's
can
doing
do
a-
spirit channeling aside from Maya and supposedly
Can't do it, I
Garon,
can't
who
remember.
has her own alibi.
Sherlock
However,
Holmes.
There is still one more person who could
What the
have
hell
done
is that
one
his-
more than
Cool, is that like his girlfriend or
mysteriously
something?
from the game until now. That person
Is Nana?
is Nana. Oh, I was having a moment.
Selena takes the stand, and of course she turns out to be Amara. And she is just as intimidating as her sister. You pick apart her testimony, and she gets this look of, "I will rain fire and brimstone upon thee."
One wrong move, and you shall be smoot.
Yes.
Smitten.
Yes.
Smited.
No!
Anyway, if you think that was the only bomb to be dropped, oh, we're just getting started. Bomb number 3. Oh yeah, he dead. He dead for a while.
Wait, what? How long has he been dead?
3 days.
Wow. How the
Maya
hell?
was channeling him the whole time, because Inga shot him.
Huh. Then Amara goes from this untouchable, intimidating figure to having one of the most adorable breakdowns ever, after learning that Dirk tried to cover for her. Amara almost takes the fall and is declared guilty, but Apollo and Rafa both decide that something isn't quite right, and they keep the trial going. The following testimony from Amara reveals something juicy.
The photo establishing Garon's alibi wasn't her. It was actually Amara. And with this, Dirk is now innocent, and Garon has lost her alibi. Yes,
You're
Amara!
fucked.
Reveal the truth so that the stupidly long trial can come to an end!
What the f?
Why must you take things away from me?
What? I can't hear you. I'll just continue. So Amara gets shot by the Royal Guard. This is totally not the most incriminating thing ever. She's the most obviously evil person ever, and everyone just sort of rolls with it.
You're loud.
What?
I said you're loud.
What?
So, after the recess, it is now Nayuta's turn to try and take the fall for Garon. How many fall guys does she have? Is the judge part of it too? Maybe she got the Trucy again to blackmail Phoenix. Or no, she blackmailed the creators of the game so they could take the fall.
Josh, I'm really happy for you, and I'm gonna let you finish, but that's stupid. You're stupid.
Aren't you supposed to be deaf right now?
Apollo tries to remind Nayuta of their adopted father's dreams of revolution, but it kinda falls flat at first since Nayuta is pretty convinced that the dream is dead. But then Apollo is all, "Okay, so you remember my biological father? We should see how he died."
How did we get from that to that?
It makes sense in context. Another one of those insight segments that Josh loves so much, you know, he just finds them so good, he wants to marry them, they're just so amazing. It's revealed that the Justice Minister
Josh.
killed Apollo's dad.
Inga?
Nope, it wasn't him. The Justice Minister was actually someone else at the time. Go on, guess. Guess who it was.
I don't know.
I was sawing off this guy's leg the other day, and
So now Nayuta, knowing the truth, decides that, you know what? I think Garon might be kind of evil.
Brilliant! Brilliant!
So he changes his mind and starts to believe in the revolution again. So now Apollo is ready to deliver the final blow. He points at Garon so
Yeah,
hard
that's
that
gonna
he
fuck up.
collapses her royal guard. That's awesome.
Garon, having barely any legs left to stand on, starts doing her Garon thing and rewrites a bunch of laws, locking Phoenix
Bitch.
and Apollo in a no-win situation. The only way to stop her, crazy as it is if she were somehow not the queen anymore. Which means, you know what time it is, it's time for a revisualization.
So for the final nail in her coffin, we see that Garon can't actually channel spirits.
You're a phony! Hey, this guy's a great big phony!
And to be a queen, that's kind of a requirement, so because of that, she doesn't actually have any sort of claim to the throne. After hilariously and satisfyingly demonstrating her inability to channel spirits, the Royal Guard turns on her, and Garon is queen no more.
We get the happy
Shame.
victory scene in the lobby as per usual, but the punches to the gut aren't quite done. See, with Garon now dethroned, the country kinda doesn't have a real court system anymore.
Yeah.
So Nayuta tells Apollo that he actually needs him to stay in Khura'in in order to help him rebuild it, which means that Apollo can't work for Right anymore.
A baby boy Apollo was grown up and made a man out of himself. He's gonna be a big lawyer now.
You know? if
You're
you
gonna
weren't,
piss a lot of people
I
off
would.
too, like a
But
true
yeah, ultimately,
lawyer.
Apollo does decide to stay in Khura'in and even sets up his own office.
And with that, we finally come to an end.
Nope.
No, what? Nope.
What?
What do you mean, no?
There's another case.
This one was so long.
I mean, it's not super important. We can just give our brief thoughts on it if you want.
Please.
I guess I'll go first. The extra case is called Turnabout Time Traveler. I personally like it quite a lot. It definitely calls back to the first game in a way that I quite like. Larry comes back and he seems to get more and more unlikable with each game, but it feels great to have Maya back as the assistant, matched with some actually pretty likable characters, some engaging drama, and an actually kind of sympathetic villain. And yeah, I really liked this. It was fun and charming.
The defendant is positively adorable. She's very earnest and tries really hard to be a good wife, even though she kinda sucks at it. She tries to be austere and serious, but don't be fooled. Just one push and the waterworks flow like the Nile. The overall plot is typical Phoenix Wright fare. It's pretty goofy, but also very touching. And as with recent Phoenix Wright entries, they aren't afraid to introduce characters with mental illnesses to spice things up. But that paper airplane animation can go die in a fire. I know that's a nitpick, but it's so annoying.
It looks like he might have
So now for the final thoughts on the game as a whole, and I'd have to say that Spirit of Justice is just as good as you'd expect an Ace Attorney game to be. Somehow each game seems to make the stakes higher and higher, and at a point it just gets kinda nuts.
While that's great, it's also kinda worrying. I mean, Phoenix's life was put on the line several times here, and they dethroned a queen, and upended a justice system of an entire country. Where do you go from here? Will they become a supernatural lawyer defending
that is
court?
Very difficult.
That would be really cool.
One thing I'd say that kind of concerns me is how they really call back to previous games a lot in this one. You have the fake guilty verdict a la Game 1, the kidnapping and blackmailing a la Game 2, and the reworking of a court system a la Game 4. And don't get me wrong, it's fine for the games to be doing this, but to me at least, I can't help but feel like maybe the franchise is starting to spin its wheels just a bit.
Also,
Pokemon does the same
idea.
damn thing, just different area.
Now, I'm sure those of you who have seen my previous countdowns on the 5 best and 5 worst cases from each game are wondering how I would rank the cases in this one. Well, why don't we start with you first, Josh?
Well, my favorite case is the first one, the Forward Turnabout. Just from beginning to end, it's dramatic, funny, and really sets up a great tone for the rest of the game. Least favorite, the Magical Turnabout. Totally skippable, and Turnabout's storyteller had the advantage of being purely a courtroom segment, which most will agree are the best parts of the game.
For my favorite case, I think I'm going to give it to Turnabout Revolution. While I did sort of get the impression that it was rehashing a bit, it was still satisfying and all kinds of intense. I might have given it to the right of Turnabout if I didn't hate it so much. For least favorite though, just like Josh, I'm giving it to the Magical Turnabout. Not a bad case by any means, but I just didn't find it all too stand out, aside from a witness that I really liked and a pretty enjoyable breakdown. I might have given it to the right of Turnabout if I didn't love it so much.
Getting some real mixed messages here.
I don't understand my own feelings. Nah, but actually, if I were to rank each of the cases personally, it'd probably look like this.
And we are done.
Josh, you okay?
Don't pick me up. Just leave me.
Okay then.
Say. Looks like it's almost done. Yep, there we go. That's my final reaction to Spirit of Justice. It was interesting. Not a huge fan of Phoenix Wright, but it was pretty humorous. I never know what to say in these. Yeah, well, anyway, have a nice day.